Armed uprising by the Wagner group in Russia. The Moscow Times is reporting that the deputy chief of staff of Russia's armed forces has been arrested. The paper says General Sergei Surovikin is being held on suspicion of being involved in Yevgeny Prigozhin's rebellion. The New York Times has also claimed that a senior Russian general had advanced knowledge of Prigozhin's plans. The Kremlin denies the allegations and maintains military commanders are united behind President Vladimir Putin. And for more on this, we can now bring NDW's Russia analyst Konstantin Eggert, who's following all of this from the Lithuanian capital, Vilnius. Konstantin, Russian media, they're reporting that Surovikin has been arrested. How credible is this information?
Well, I think, Nicole, it's been more or less now confirmed by very respectable media, although initial signals came from different sorts of Telegram channels. Also, there are suspicions that Mr. Surovikin's deputy is also arrested. And if it is indeed so, we will know it quite soon, because you cannot basically hide the arrest of deputy commander of the operation in Ukraine, commander of the Russian airspace forces, hero of Russia, and I have to add, someone who earned this sobriquet, the butcher of Syria. Surovikin was very, very instrumental in helping Putin prop up the Assad regime in Syria.
Yeah, give us some more context. Who is Surovikin, and why did he appear to become a threat to Vladimir Putin now?
Well, Surovikin was commander of the operation in Ukraine until January this year. Then he was replaced, but kept a position of deputy commander. He also still officially commands Russian aerospace forces. And he's one of the top generals in Russia, has his own following, and evidently could have set his sights easily on the post of Chief of General Staff or even Defense Minister. That was kind of his level, if you wish. Surovikin appeared suddenly during Prigozhin's uprising on Saturday in a video posted on one of the Telegram channels, visibly distressed. Well, visibly, I would suspect that he was a bit inebriated, and in a very unconvincing language, he tried to tell the Wagner mercenaries to stand down. He looked frightened, and to me, as to quite a few intelligence analysts I spoke to here in Vilnius, it looked a bit like a hostage video. Then he disappeared from sight, although one has to say it's his air force that actually strafed, that bombarded the Wagner mercenaries. Then suddenly we hear that he has been arrested, and according to the reports we've seen in the Wall Street Journal and New York Times, Surovikin was in the know about Prigozhin's mutiny. Now, if it is so indeed, then it seems if he is arrested, then, I mean, it seems like he was a part of this plot, and he probably counted on something as a result of Prigozhin mutineering.
Mm-hmm. Are we witnessing the beginning of Putin cleaning house after this unprecedented challenge to his rule over the weekend?
Oh, yes, very much so. This is very, very, very sort of traditional. It's a classic dictatorship in the wake of a putsch. Putin will now be arresting everyone left, right, and center just to prove that he's, quote unquote, strong. Whether it will bring any results or whether it will actually spook the remainder of the regime even more and maybe propel some other people into action, that remains to be seen. But what we've seen is completely unprecedented, I would say, since maybe the mid-50s, when Marshal Zhukov, the victor in the Second World War, sided with part of the Politburo to try and replace the then leader, Nikita Khrushchev. But we are talking about 1957, nothing like that since then, an unprecedented involvement of the army in Russian politics at the time of war. So in certain way, I would say, Nicole, this is historic and may become even more historic as we speak now.
Mm-hmm. And as all of this was unfolding, we saw footage of Vladimir Putin surrounded by a crowd in Dagestan taking selfies, hugging his supporters. That's quite unusual for him, isn't it?
Oh, yes. And I think that shows the degree of fear that he experienced, because Putin, as we know, doesn't like masses. He doesn't like going to the people. And if he goes to meet the people, it's always very, very well choreographed. We have hundreds of security people dressed in civilians, in civis. I think that if he flew to Dagestan now, they didn't have the time to prepare it really well. So Putin even is risking actually talking to his own people now. That is to show that he's in control. That is to show that he is still, pardon the pun, a man of the people. And that testifies to the fact that he's really, really scared by what happened. It was not a theater play. It was a real, real rebellion.
This DW's Russia analyst Konstantin Eggert from Vilnius.